video on how to complete assignment 4. As you can see, I have downloaded the zip for proof and PDFs for print for the press room. So when you're going to send files to a print shop, you want to create PDFs in a certain way, and when you send files to clients, you might want to create PDFs in a certain way also. So I've opened up that zip file, and I have 3 folders in there. Those are packaged folders, and then there's a PDF that shows the instructions. So if I open up this PDF, I can see here that the goal is to make PDFs for print and for proof of these 3 packaged folders. I do want you to turn in PDFs only. You'll have a total of 6 PDFs. 3 of them are for print and 3 are for proof. I'd like you to name your files consistently with following this naming convention here. And this is just a quick reference to the difference between proof PDFs and press PDFs. So when you're making a PDF for proof, that is intended to send to the customer. And a lot of times when you send a PDF to the customer, they're just going to view it online. They may print it out, but they don't necessarily need to see the crop marks and that you have a bleed set up correctly and that sort of stuff. Generally, I've found that can be confusing to some clients, and you really just want to show them what the finished piece would look like. So we use a preset in there of the high quality print. There is a preset for smallest file size, which is if you were to email the file. But we want to make sure that our bleed and our crop marks are turned off, that there's no bleed and crop marks. When we're sending a PDF to a print shop for commercial printing, we want to use the preset PDF X1A 2001. We want to make sure we have turned on our crop marks and bleed and the file information. The file information provides a date and time stamp on your PDF. And we'll also check the compression and output settings to make sure that things are set correctly. Generally, those are okay to just leave them as they are after you select the PDF preset X1A. Then you usually don't need to touch these. The preset will make it correct. However, if you do make changes, InDesign will remember changes to the preset, and it'll say modified in the preset window. Anyways, that's the instructions. Now I'm going to run through making a PDF for proof and a PDF for press out of one of the files, and you can follow along or just watch it and then do it yourself. So I'll start with the assignment 4 folder 1. I open that up, and then in here I've got my packaged folder. I am using an older version of InDesign, but the concepts are the same. So I'm going to open up the InDesign file, and it's telling me I have missing fonts. So you need to correct missing fonts and missing links before you can create the PDFs. So I can see that the fonts that are missing are the Myriad Pro Light, semi-extended, Myriad Pro semi-extended, Myriad Pro Black semi-extended. So I'm just going to say OK to that, and then I'm going to actually close that. And I'm going to go back and look in the fonts folder of the packaged file. There should be those fonts in there. Myriad Pro Extended Light. So I'm going to use the font book on Mac for installing these fonts. It's quite simple, much simpler than using the Suitcase. And for this assignment, it's fine just to use the font book, where if you're designing, you would probably want to use Suitcase. But anyhow, I can just double-click the font, and it opens up Font Book for the Mac. And then you can see that there's the font is there, and then there's a button that says Install Font. So if I click that Install Font button, it opens up Font Book. And Font Book's a pretty neat little program. It's like Suitcase. It's quite effective, actually, where you can make sets and put your fonts into sets, and you can see all the fonts on your computers and on your computer and so on. Anyhow, I can just hide font book now. And I can go back to that InDesign file. And I'm going to open the InDesign file again. And you can see I got one of the two done. So I still need the semi-extended and the semi-extended italic. So I'm going to close that again. Go back into the fonts. And let's see. Here's the semi-extended install. And where was the semi-extended italic? I think that was the one. So now I can go back to my InDesign file. Oh, light semi-extended. I'm sorry, I missed that one. You probably caught that, didn't you? Here's the light semi-extended. We'll install that one. Now I can go back. And there we go. So all of our fonts are correct infined font, and this shows you all the fonts in the document, and it'll give you warning signs if any of the fonts are missing, and they're all there. So now we can go ahead with our making the PDFs. We can see that there is a bleed on this document. This is a rack card, and there's a bleed set for it. So I'm going to go to the File menu, say Export, and then you'll say PDF for print in the new version of Creative Cloud. I'll select a place to put the PDF, so I'll put them on the desktop for easy finding. Here we'll use the naming convention, which was last name, assignment 4, and then this was folder 1, and we're doing proof. Now I'll say save. Now here comes the export PDF dialog box. At the very top you have your presets. So here high quality preset is selected. You can see there's the X1A, here's your smallest file size, press quality, and so on. These are other presets that I have saved on my computer. But we're doing for proof, so we're going to use the high quality print preset. We're going to look at pages. We want to export all the pages. And I check on this box here, View PDF after exporting, just because it'll open the PDF when it's done, so you can look at it. And it saves a few minutes there. Anyways, you can look through the compression. This is how it compresses the graphics. So it's going to take your color images and use this compression format. These boxes are good to have checked on, so it'll compress text and line art, and it'll crop image data to frames. So if you had a picture that extended past a frame, it'll just crop that off and get rid of that data for the PDF. Most importantly though, marks and bleed. So here's where you will turn on and off your bleed and marks. This is for proof, so we don't want to have showing the bleed and the crop marks. We wanted to show the client the final piece. So I'm going to leave all of that unchecked. I'm going to leave the color output and all of the other settings just as they are. You can see here's fonts, subsetting of fonts when it's less than I'm using, like capital Z's or lowercase x's or whatever, and all the punctuation. So it subsets the font and puts the font in the PDF. And then if you wanted to apply security settings, you could require, if it was a sensitive document, you could require a password to open it. That's kind of cool. So anyways, basically high quality print, make sure we have our pages correctly selected, and then we'll click export. And so it'll generate the PDF. In Creative Cloud it does it in the background now. But with my older version, it makes you sit there and wait. So anyways, it opens the PDF for you automatically. I'm going to do Command 0 to view all. And I can see that it just looks like the rack card, how it was supposed to be. And I can scroll down. Nope, some sort of, must not be showing the PDF correctly. Anyways, that's a PDF for proof. Let's go and make one for press now. So with that same file, I'm going to go back to the File menu, Export. And this is the file now that we're going to send to the print shop. So I've got the same name up there. I'm just going to change it from proof to press. And go back to the desktop and say Save. Instead of the high quality print, I'm going to use the PDF X1A. That is the print standard for sending to commercial printing. X1A. And we're going to have our pages say all. I'm going to keep that checkbox on. I'm going to come and check my marks and bleed. So I'm going to turn on the crop marks. I'm going to turn on the page information. Bleed marks are separate. That doesn't actually make your bleed show up. That just puts little lines similar to crop marks where your bleed should be. This is where you set your bleed up. You need to turn on use the document bleed settings, and that takes the settings from your document, an 1/8 of an inch bleed, and will apply it to your PDF. We'll leave the output, and the you can see that it's different than the high quality print. This is for sending to commercial printing, and we'll leave the rest of this all alone. So just putting on the crop marks, page information, and the bleed settings, and then from there you can see up here it says modified now, that this setting has been modified because we turned on these crop marks. But that's okay, we're good. We'll say export. I have a little bit of a slower machine too here, so there's the PDF, and you can see now there's our crop marks showing up on the corners, and when you see the bleed going past the mark, that means that's good. You can see also that we have the file information is down there. It's missing, some of it's getting cut off. You could probably fix that in the PDF settings, but what I was going to is looking at this. This is showing that the bleed is correct. If the edge of the file the background just went to that line, then the bleed is not set up correctly in the document. So there's the front and the back, ready to send to press. And that is it. So I can close this and then don't save, just in case you want to try remaking it. On my desktop now I've got those 2 PDFs, so that's 2 of my 6 that I will upload through Canvas to complete this assignment. Feel free to give me a call or an email if you have any questions, and enjoy.